Hello, my name is Tim Mulchaney, your professor for speech communication here at MCC Online. I'd like to spend the next 35 or 40 minutes talking to you about public speaking, some background about how we're going to handle public speaking here in this class, some information you need to know as you prep. I'm giving you this info early so you can begin your preparations early, and all the basics about the structure of the speech, how you'll deliver it, and so forth and so on. So with all that said, I'm going to say goodbye for a few minutes. I'll come back at the end of the recording again, but for now I want you to focus on what you're seeing on the screen and what I'm sharing with you about that information. So we're talking about public speaking today. I want to give you some background and help you get started with the process of preparing your first speech, the informative speech. Much of this information that I share today will apply to the persuasive speech we will do later in the semester as well, but for now, I'm going to concentrate on that informative speech. And this is the plan for us through this video. I want you to understand why public speaking is important. Think about you, the public speaker, and what's going to help you become successful delivering this speech. Selecting your topic, getting organized. I'll introduce what I call the 3x3 format that is available to you in template form. There's also a sample. You're going to do some practice, some more practice, deliver your speech, and celebrate. And I honestly feel that's the appropriate process for you to first understand why it's important. Will help you move on to thinking about reflecting on you as a public speaker. We all have had opportunities and will have opportunities, so it's important that we know how to do this in the best way we possibly can. Selecting a topic is important, and all these other things. So that's where we're going. We'll really talk about these things today. The rest, practice and delivery, that's going to be up to you. So first of all, why is public speaking important? Well, first of all, it's a key skill that is going to help you be successful in various aspects of your life. Right now, you're college students, and as part of many of your classes you will take, you will be asked to create and deliver speeches and presentations as an individual and sometimes as part of a group. The expectation in these classes will be that you've taken speech communication, either online or on campus, and you've gained some of the basic skills and understanding of how to do this in an effective way so that the professor from the class, whether it's a math class, a science, a history class, psychology, whatever type of class where you're asked to deliver a presentation, those professors are content experts in those academic disciplines. Where you learn about public speaking and how to do it well is in a class like this, in speech communication, or in another class we offer right now on campus only called public speaking. Public speaking is important in your career. Quite frankly, it's how you start your career. A job interview is becoming more and more of a public speaking event. More and more organizations are using panel-type interviews, so you're not sitting with just one person. You may be sitting or even standing with a group of people asking questions coming from different directions on different topics. So being poised and practice at the art of public speaking helps you get that job, and it helps you excel and grow and develop that career. And you may become active in your community, in politics, church or community groups, working with children, working with seniors. Who knows? One thing that I can say for sure is that public speaking will help you in these three areas, and it's a skill that does improve with practice and experience. Most people that are nervous about public speaking, we'll talk about public speaking anxiety in a moment, well, the truth is they're nervous or scared about it because they just haven't done it an awful lot. And think about anything that you do well now. You probably started somewhere, and maybe you weren't great or good to start with, but through practice and repetition and experience, this is the key word right here, you become better. And the same holds true with public speaking. So gaining a little experience here in this class is going to help you become more polished as you move forward. And public speaking also provides you with an opportunity to show who you are. The topics you select, the things you choose to talk about, the issues that are important to you or that you feel passionate about, these are a reflection of you. And when you're front and center, people will listen to you, and you can command their attention with a little bit of practice and understanding some basic skills that we're going to share and work on in the coming weeks. So are you ready? I think you are, and I chose this picture to include with 6 people sitting together. Imagine that you're talking with a small group of friends. In essence, that is a form of public speaking. How is it different from what we're going to do here? Well, it's spontaneous, often unplanned, whereas a speech you have time to prepare your subject matter, the organization of how you'll present your material, your delivery, sources and resources that will support your message. Very similar acts, just one requires a little bit more practice and formality. And that's where we're going, so you must be ready. Let's get going. You're going to see that our format will actually end up working to your advantage, and by that, I mean our online format, being that this is an online class. I'm only going to see the version of your speech that you select. So I guess I'm introducing a key point right here. You are going to be recording and submitting a copy of your speech. That's how I do it in my online classes. I've tried many different methods using Collaborate and different web conferencing tools. Too reliant on internet connections and internet traffic, and you can run into problems, and I have with students doing it this way. Trying to get students to come from a distance to deliver a speech on campus, also very difficult. So it's an online class. We rely on technology, and we will utilize that technology to make the speech available to me. And again, I will only see the version of your speech that you select, because when you record it, you might record it, watch it, decide you could do better, record it a second time, see one last thing you'd like to tweak, perhaps you'll record it a third time, say, that's the one I'm going to send to the professor. And I don't mind if you do that. I don't care if you record it 10 times. You keep looking at it and making revisions and making it better, because that'll reinforce a fact that I'm going to share now and will continue to bring up over and over again, that practice makes better. Practice makes better. I'm not going to say practice makes perfect. I don't believe that perfect exists. I've never delivered a perfect speech. I've never seen one. Perfection is not a reasonable goal, and it's not expected of you in this class, not for the speeches. What I want you to do is the best you can do. Show me that you've put effort forth to do the best possible speech you can, and you very well earn an excellent grade, an A on it. Perfect is not what we're looking for. The best you can do is what I'm looking for. If you're one of these people who have some public speaking anxiety, you will see that your anxiety can be controlled. It really can. And I was just talking about practice making better. Controlling your anxiety starts with proper preparation. If you are well prepared, you know your message, you know what you want to say. If you're using visual aids, they are well prepared, you've rehearsed with them. There's no reason why you can't do your speech and be very successful and overcome this anxiety. Step one is being ready. Proper preparation is one of the keys. And I will encourage you and show you the way to properly prepare your speech. First, let's really spend a minute or two and let's talk about anxiety. You know, the number one human fear isn't financial ruin, losing your savings or your retirement. It's not losing a job or ending a relationship with someone you really care about. It's not even death. The number one human fear is public speaking, according to survey after survey. I think that's ridiculous. It doesn't have to be that way. I think people build it up in their mind to be more than it is. And my message starts with repeating what I just said a moment ago. There's no such thing as a perfect speech. Get that through your head. It's not going to happen. It's just a very good speech that we're looking for, a well-prepared speech. Preparation is the key. If you're well prepared and you've got plenty of time to prepare, I'm providing you with all this material and resources you need early in the process. You can rehearse, you can master this message and do very, very well. Now, not everybody's nervous, and some folks who don't suffer from public speaking anxiety or taking the class, you know, even you might benefit from listening to this message. You know, if you do have a little bit of nerves, and there are those who say every speaker has a certain amount of nerves or anxiety before delivering their message, and I would agree that that's true. It happens to me. It happens to great speakers. It happens to average speakers like me. It happens all the time. You can turn those nerves into something that appears to your audience to be enthusiasm for your subject. If you're really excited, it's all in how it's portrayed. It's all in how it's perceived by your audience. You know, and let me tell you what, you want to do well, right? I want you to do well. My goal is not to wash people out or say, point out everything you did wrong. It's to help you build on all the things you do right. So let's make us both happy and try to wash away the nerves and not worry about the speech so much. It's only 5 to 6 minutes long. You're going to get the support. It's a non-threatening environment. It's an environment you select where you deliver the speech. So No reason why anxiety has to be an issue, and you could be a smiling, happy person who has delivered the speech and done well. You know, part of the whole speech act is an interaction between you and the audience. Now, this is something I bring up and we have to talk about, even though this is an online class, and some people say, well, how do you deal with this? Well, because you're going to have to select an audience, we'll get to that in a minute, you have to know that it's an interaction. Even when you are doing all of the talking, your audience will be sending you messages non-verbally by their facial expressions, their body language, if they're leaning forward or leaning back, if their arms are crossed, or if they seem more open to your message and their arms are open. If they're nodding their head and affirming the things you're saying. Most or all of the talking, it is an interaction. And you need to consider the listening behaviors of your audience. I've had students tell me in the past, I felt like I was doing well, but then I saw one person in the room and they didn't seem to understand what I was saying, and I couldn't get over that. I kept thinking about it, and it made it very difficult for me. Well, if you're well prepared, people won't have that look on their face. And more importantly than that, you have to remember you can't win them all. Now, you are going to be selecting your own audience, and I'm sure you'll make the right choice, meaning you'll select people you feel comfortable with. It could be coworkers, family members, friends, classmates from other classes, neighbors, people in your circle, people that you know. Even doing it this way, you have to know you can't win them all. In on-campus sections where I've had students delivering speeches in front of 25 classmates and myself there as the instructor, you know, they've said afterwards, well, I looked over and I saw a couple of people, they didn't really seem to be paying attention. One person was taking notes, or it looked like they were writing something. One person was looking in their book. While I encourage my students in all classes to devote 100% of their attention to a person delivering a speech at the time they're delivering the speech, you can't win them all. Not everybody's going to do that. Focus on the people who are paying attention, who are engaged in your message and listening to what you have to say. And again, when you select the audience for this recording of your speech, make the right choice. Get 5 audience members who are going to be supportive of you and encouraging to you and want you to do well. You're in control. Make the right choice. Now, the first thing as far as actually putting together the speech is selecting your topic. And that's up to you. I'm not going to assign topics. I don't even have a list. So I want you to select something you know. What can you do? What do you know a lot about? What interests you? What are you fascinated with? Are you researching a topic for another class right now and you're interested in it? You can reuse that research, say, for a paper, for a speech. 2 different things. A paper and a speech are 2 different things. So I don't consider that cheating or improper in any way. You're using the material to create a deliverable, an end product, in this case a speech. The key thing is something you know and like. That makes it much easier. The content does not become the big issue. You can focus on the organization and structure and delivery of your speech. So you select something that interests you, that you know, that you like. Now, you need to keep it simple. You need to keep it basic because your speech is only 5 to 6 minutes long. Let me say that again. Your speech is only 5 to 6 minutes long. You have a 1-minute window. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll make it 1 minute and 40 seconds. You have a 20-second grace period. So if it's a few seconds short of 5 minutes, you've rehearsed it, but when you actually deliver it, it's a little bit shorter because sometimes people will speak a little more quickly in the moment when they're excited about the speech. And sometimes people add a few things or slow down. It goes a little bit over 6 minutes. That's fine. But the target is 5 to 6 minutes. Hit it in the sweet spot right in the middle. And you do have that 20-second grace period on either side. So when you select the topic, make sure it's appropriate for a 5 to 6 minute long speech. The history of England is not appropriate for a 5 to 6 minute long speech. Stonehenge, the mystery of England, one of the mysteries of England, could be done in a 5 to 6 minute long speech. We can talk a little bit about what Stonehenge is, why it's so interesting to people, and why the mystery about how it got there remains after all these years. You can do that in 5 to 6 minutes. Another thing you need to remember is that your topic is a reflection of you. You selected it. It's something you know and like. So it's telling us a little bit more about you, and it shares something with me, so I learn a little bit more about you. If you choose to make the speech after you make your recording, say you upload it to YouTube, or if you choose to make it public or private and share the link with your classmates so they can give you feedback on the speech, that's fine as well. You're not required to do that. The only person who's required to see it is me. But remember, your topic is a reflection of you. Pick something you know and like. Remember the time constraints. And remember, we're talking about who you are, and you can be natural and more comfortable with a topic you like and are comfortable and familiar with. Once you have the topic identified, you need to begin some research. And you might start by identifying the specific speech type. And in the chapter in your textbook on informative speeches, it lists the different types of speeches, informative speeches, speeches of description, narratives, so forth and so on. And you want to begin your research, and there's library resources that you can find, the ERIC database. You can access this on campus or from home. Using the internet is a great way to get research, but you need to know that the website you're retrieving information from is reliable, and the information is current and reliable and trustworthy. As I said, you can go to the library, any of our campuses, the main campus in Bethlehem, the new campus, the new Monroe campus, or public libraries. You can also visit it. I know because we're an online class here, I don't know where everybody's located. You can also visit other local colleges or universities near you, and quite often you're allowed to go in and use the library. You might not be able to remove materials, but you can make photocopies or take notes. You can also use personal experience and talk about your knowledge and understanding of a topic based on the fact that you were involved with it or are involved with it. Say you're talking about field hockey, and you were a field hockey player for 8 years, or playing guitar, and you've been playing guitar since you're 10 and you're in a band. You know, personal experience helps build your credibility. And we'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about introductions. After you do your research, select the best and most interesting research. Because remember, it's a 5 to 6 minute long speech, so you can't include every piece of information you find. And you must include 2 citations from things that you find. So a citation of speech is where you would say in the body of the speech, according to John Smith, president of the American Field Hockey Association, so forth and so on. You need to have 2 of those citations in your speech. If you have more, that's fine. Don't go overboard. Don't try to incorporate 17 or 20 citations. That's too much. It's overkill. But I would like you to incorporate 2. Because this is something you'll be asked to do in other speeches. You'll be asked to have sources that you incorporate and share with the audience, so you need to get practice doing that as well. So get that research started after you select your topic. Once you've done the research, you can begin to organize your speech, and that's where we can talk about the outline, why that's so important. Your outline is a roadmap to success. You're going to get graded on your outline. You'll earn a few points. This is what I call low-hanging fruit, easy to earn these points. It's your guide for organizing the speech, and it is a key component of a successful speech. What I've got here is a miniature version of a 1-page keyword outline. This is your target. To keep it brief, to use keywords, which are cues that lead to success. And why do I want you to do this? Because extemporaneous speaking is best. Extemporaneous speaking is not manuscript speaking where you have a word-for-word speech written out. This is what the president does when he speaks to the nation. There's teleprompters, the speech is written out. He's not ad-libbing. And extemporaneous speaking isn't really ad-libbing. It's just preparing and rehearsing the speech using a keyword outline so that you know your message. Say it was a speech you were going to deliver to 5 different audiences 5 different times. It would be very similar. It would be good every time. It would be subtly different because you're not memorizing it word for word or reading it word for word. And that's the best type of speaking. It engages you with your audience. It's natural, and that's what we're shooting for. So keep it brief. There's a template that you can download. It's a Word document. It's in course documents. You can download it and fill it in. There's also a sample to look at to give you an idea of what I mean by brief. I want it to be one side of 1 page. That's the key, okay? And use all available resources. You know, if I provide you with templates, if I provide you with, there's another document, in course documents called Info Speech Tip Sheet. Look at that. It gives you all the tips you're going to need to succeed. I'll provide resources. It's up to you to access them and use them. Now, we're talking about the outline, and if you look here close, you can see there's an introduction, body, and conclusion. And those are the 3 main components of an outline, and they're each very important in the speech for their own reasons. Starting with the intro. The introduction is very important because it's where you gain attention. You introduce your topic and your credibility, why you are a worthwhile or worthy speaker on this topic. Why should we listen to you, trust you? And it previews the speech. The preview is very important. Students frequently will outline the preview, say, I'm going to tell you about A, B, and C, and then they don't deliver that when they actually do the speech. They think having it on the outline is good enough. Well, it isn't. You need to tell your audience what's coming up, what you're going to tell them about. It gives them an idea of the lay of the land. It makes it easier for them to follow along as you're narrating, as you're going through and telling this story, delivering this speech, sharing this presentation. It's important for you to work hard on your intro because it's where it all starts. It's how you grab the audience and draw them in. You can gain attention by asking questions, telling a story, citing statistics, any number of ways. But you should be sure to work hard on it because it's going to help your audience and it's going to help you have a successful speech. Please, please, please do not pre-announce your topic. That means do not start your speech by saying, my name is, and my topic today is, and then you start with your attention getter and the rest of the intro. No, no, no. Hold back on announcing the topic, build suspense, intrigue, interest, and then reveal the topic. Gain attention, then introduce or reveal the topic, and at that time you also explain your credibility, then of course the preview. Do everything you can to draw your audience in. And again, use all available resources. Go out on the internet. Look up information about effective introductions and attention getters. I'm going to share links with you to speeches that you can look at. Good examples, not so good examples. Use the resources I provide. I provide them. Up to you to take the next step. The next part of the speech and that you will outline is the body. This is the main information you want to share about your topic, and it's broken down into two components, main points and the supporting points for each of those main points. So, being that it's a short speech, I think you should be shooting for a topic with about 3 main points with appropriate support for each. So, for example, you might be talking about a sport, and you might talk a little bit about the history, the popularity of the sport, and some of the athletes who are most famous in the sport. Those are your 3 main points, and you have support for each main point. As far as how do you organize those, in the example I just gave, well, there's a natural chronological order. There's a history, why this, and then one other thing. It'll depend on the type of speech you deliver, first and foremost. But you also want to consider what is your most important point and what is less important. As you decide what the main points and support are, and as you arrange those 3, or perhaps 4, if it's appropriate to your topic, main points, and you organize them in such a way that there's a logic that your audience can follow as to how the main points are set up. Keep in mind, in the previous part of the speech, the intro, you're previewing the speech, so you have to have that order established and announced here, and then you follow through and keep the promise here in your body of your speech. And again, use all available resources. Do everything you can to be successful. After the body of the speech, there's only one thing left to do. That's the conclusion of the speech. It is just as important as the introduction. There's a psychological concept referred to as primacy and recency. Primacy means people tend to remember the first things they hear. Recency means people will tend to remember the last things they hear. So this applies to your speech, the intro, and the conclusion. Also applies to the body of the speech, the first main point and the last main point. This all ties into how you organize things. What do you need to do in the conclusion of your speech? 3 things. And you must do each of these. If you want to get the good score, each of these must be clear to me when I watch your speech. You must connect back to your intro. If you ask questions, refer back to the questions. If you told a story, refer back to the story. If you shared statistics, go back to those statistics. Close the loop. Full circle. Connect back to the intro. And then, just like the preview in the beginning of the speech, summarize. In the beginning you say, I'm about to tell you about A, B, and C. In the conclusion you say, I just told you about A, B, and C. Tell them what you're going to tell them in the intro. Keep the promise and tell them what you promised you would tell them in the body, and then tell them what you just told them in the conclusion via the summary. And then close in a memorable way. This could also be a story, a quotation, something to Provide the audience with a residual message, things they'll carry away after your speech and remember. So make sure that you do that as well. And again, I'll just keep saying it each slide, use all available resources. They're there for you to help you succeed. I provide them, you have to access them, the rest is up to you. Something I didn't talk about, I set up the 3 parts of the speech, and you'll notice in the template that I have transitions, and these are very important and should be included briefly on your outline. The transitions are short sentences, phrases that signal the end of speech components and link them. So for example, at the end of your preview, you might pause for 2 or 3 seconds and say, okay, so now let's get started by discussing A. A would be the first thing you mention in your preview. The audience knows that the introduction and preview are over and you're moving on to the body of the speech, the things you promised you would talk about. You use these transitions in between the main points. Now that you understand A, let me spend a few minutes talking about B. So you do that between the main points, and you do it then at the conclusion. These transitions make it easier for your audience, again, to follow along. You told them in the introduction and preview what the speech was about. The preview keeps them on track. They're like little landmarks, road signs. They make it easy for you, so you remind yourself what you're talking about next, because again, you're not reading. You're practicing this speech until you're comfortable with the message and you're delivering it in an extemporaneous manner. So it makes it easy for you too. And I want you to do everything that you can. Make it easy for your audience, the people there present while you deliver the speech live, and for me. When do you use these transitions? After the intro, between main points, and before the conclusion. Remember, use all available resources. Take a look at that tip sheet. It'll remind you of everything you need to do. Just a few things left to talk about. The next steps for you should be to begin planning research and organization. So identify a topic, and there's going to be some threads you can use online to talk about topic ideas you have, and post drafts of your outline, get feedback from me and your classmates. The sooner you start, the better off you are. Use all those templates I've provided in course documents. Begin to rehearse your delivery once you have the speech organized. The tip sheet will be particularly helpful when you get to this part of the process. You can time yourself as you rehearse your delivery. If the speech is 8 minutes long, you have to remove some material. If it's 2 minutes long, you have to add some material. Rehearsal is how you reveal the needs as you go through the process of developing what will ultimately be your final speech and hopefully a great speech. Use that tip sheet. Remember to relax. It's only a speech. I can't stress this enough. I know some of you will get anxious about it, but I'm trying to do everything I can to create a non-threatening environment and to make it centered on you and what's best for you, right down to how you deliver, record, and submit the speech. It's done at your convenience. I don't set up certain times. You'll be able to do this. Students have been doing it in my classes for 6 or 7 years now, and you'll find it's the best way. Visualize success. Think positive. Visualize a positive outcome. Promise yourself some type of reward once you get that positive outcome. You know, you're going to gain some experience. You're going to learn a little bit better how to organize and prepare your messages. And please remember, I'm here to help you. I'm going to set up some online office hours. They will not be mandatory, but if people want to show up, turn up online, and ask me questions about the speech, about anything to do with the class, or with the communication studies major for that matter, I'll be there to help. I'll send an email telling you what times and where to find those links. I want you to do well. I think you will do well, provided you have the self-confidence and the desire to get the work done. This is a very important part of the class, a very important time to be self-motivated. Now's not the time to procrastinate. Starting early when preparing a speech is one of the absolute best things you can do. Remember, there's going to be a non-threatening, supportive environment. I'm just going to say positive things from now until your speech is delivered, over and over and over again. And you're going to pick that environment where you actually deliver the speech, so it's a win-win for all of us. So again, to repeat, you're going to deliver, record, and submit the speech. You can upload it to YouTube or other hosting services. You can burn a DVD and mail it to me or drop it off on campus in Bethlehem. Your speech must be made available to me by the date indicated in Blackboard. That will be in the week where we discuss public speaking for the first time. There will be dates listed there. And just to remind you, why is it the best option to record and submit? There's the convenience factor for you. And for me as well. I teach courses online, multiple courses on campus, have family, and I volunteer in my community. So, it's convenient for all of us. Your comfort level goes way up. You get the opportunity to upload and send the absolute best version of the speech, not just a one-shot. You can look at it, make some changes, realize some things you need to work on, do that work, make another recording, look at it again and again. It doesn't matter to me. Don't go crazy. Don't start recording it 20 times because, again, perfection is not expected. And also, it reduces our reliance on your internet connection and internet traffic. More often than not, these sessions would be held in the evenings. And in the evenings, internet traffic goes up, and there's a greater opportunity of what's called an internet hang, or you get kicked off of the internet, and it increases stress levels, and the quality of your speech goes down while the stress goes up, and I don't want to do that. Did it with 3 sections this summer online. Everybody did it. I had 100% participation. The students did a great job. You will too. Good luck. I know you're going to do great. No doubt in my mind about that. And guess what? Success is waiting for you out there. And I want you to do well. I'm sure you have members of your family and friends that want you to do well. And hopefully your classmates. There's been a lot of interaction I see in the discussion boards, good supportive group. They want you to do well. And you will. You have to make it so. It just takes a little work. Thanks for your time. Have a wonderful day.